I agree in the sense that I feel like it does look like a video game, but I don't view that as a bad thing, and I think it's just
That takes away from the realism for me.
hold on. Let's keep this podcast off and actually talk about this stuff on the podcast.
Yeah, fair enough.
Welcome back to No Bad Seats. This is going to be our second last episode of the year, our last film episode of the year.
Episode number 22, I might add.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 20 episodes deep.
20 episodes deep. Wow. That's pretty awesome. And we're getting towards the end of our debut season, so pretty cool.
Season 2 coming soon.
Season 2 coming soon, and the plan for that to really change things up, we're going to swap seats.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy up in here.
Like, it's going to blow some of your minds, particularly those who listen on Spotify.
The dynamics.
Yeah.
They'll be like, he was in my left ear last time.
Yeah, what's going on? Now, the reason we started this podcast was because we were talking a lot about movies already. And, this idea that we could watch movies and talk about what is coming to the cinema and all of these sorts of things was an important one. And basically, Sam and I just found that we were sitting here all ready to go on the podcast for 5 minutes talking about the Oscar nominations.
Which I might add, it was recording.
It was recording, but it's not technically part of the episode, but maybe we can just cut some of that little stuff in evidence that it actually happened. Actually, it'd be funny if you did that and maybe put it through and just sped it up with a timer of how long we were talking about movies without having actually started the podcast.
Yeah.
But so there is a lot of that sort of stuff coming up. Some of the Oscars stuff was talked about. I think we wait until season 2 and we talk about the Oscars there, because I know particularly when it gets to the start of next year, we will get some of the Oscar films in and we'll get to see them. I know there's stuff like Marty Supreme that we are keen to talk about.
Very exciting.
But yeah, that's not out until sort of mid to late January here, then the Oscars. So we will make an effort to see everything. What have your Oscars been like for the last few years? Have you managed to see
most stuff?
Yeah.
There's every now and then there's a couple where I try to see everything unless there's something that I'm just flat out not interested in. And I know that sounds bad, and I feel terrible saying it because we quite like a lot of the time we go,
you're a fake fan. Yeah.
Well, even give a hate to the Academy for not watching the films that they're judging.
Yeah. But it's also not our job. So,
well, yeah, it's not our job.
Yeah,
I'm not getting paid for it to watch that.
Let's be real.
Judge it.
If you're judging a bunch of films, you should watch all 10 films or all of the films that are submitted and then pick from those, or all 10 films and then pick which is the best one, not just going with it, because the fact that happened at all is insane. The fact that, who was it last year who there was a Best Picture or Best Picture and Best Supporting Actor, and one came out and it was and someone said, I voted for this person because this person already won. And then the first person had already won, hadn't ever won, and the person they voted for won 20 years ago. So he already had an Oscar, and then they voted for someone else because, it was...
It's just ridiculous.
And then it was oh, they've already won, so I just gave them the vote. And it was hold on, no, they hadn't actually won anything, and the person you voted for has already got one. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
What happens when you get a bunch of 80-year-old white dudes just voting
for Barbie? Yeah. Well, for me, the last couple of years, I've made a big effort, much more of an effort to watch. I do think that there's probably a world where, the last 2 or 3 years, the Oscar films, particularly the Best Picture films, have been maybe a little more modernized and maybe a little less, these art house films that are, you've had things like Top Gun and Avatar and Barbie and
which makes
Oppenheimer.
it a lot easier
and
to get
things,
to those.
Yeah, exactly. But things that by the time they're nominated, I'm oh, I've already watched 5 of these, so now in the next month I can watch the other 5.
Yeah.
And I think the year that Avatar won Best Picture, right? Avatar. Did it win Best Picture? It won a lot of visual effects stuff. in 2023. No, Everything Everywhere All at Once won that year.
Yeah. I
Rightfully
think
so.
did it even win? I think it may have won visual effects as well.
True. There you
I
go.
think it beat out Avatar, which was
There you
big.
go.
It was
Avatar like smoked the rest
Yeah,
of its
it got
categories,
every
though.
other
It got
technical award it could.
But
yeah.
yeah, so Everything Everywhere All at Once. That year, I'd watched 7 of those films. I managed to watch, which was good.
Because
And then
10 they do still.
Yeah, 10. And then the last couple of years, I think I've managed to get 8. I missed last year. I missed. I can picture the poster. And it's driving me mental. But
Was it the one set in the prisoner camp?
The prison camp in Germany? Or,
Yeah, I can't remember. Something
yeah,
of Silence? Not Sound of
yeah,
Silence.
no, it's not Sound of Silence. It's Domain of Silence or something.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Anyway,
I same.
Yeah.
I got to most stuff.
Yeah.
There was a few that I didn't. I remember coming up to the awards and coming up to the end of the year, I was really chasing down Anora because it was one of those ones that wasn't coming out till the start of the year, and I was trying to find it wherever I could so that I could watch it to sort of be ready and be like, and I absolutely loved it. I think it was like number 2 on my list last year.
Yeah, right.
So that was really cool. But it is that hard thing of being in Australia where we're not that far removed. Like half the time we get Marvel movies before the US does.
Yeah, a couple of days beforehand. But then these sorts of films that end up being the ones that everyone's talking about with the Oscars, they're like, and January.
Yeah.
And January. It's like, hold on a moment.
Just please.
How about it doesn't win an award for Best Picture prior to being released here? Please.
As much as that is a good marketing boost for it.
Yes.
But yeah, it would be nice to have the films that we can
be able to see them.
Yeah.
So that's a note to any distributors watching. We would like to see these films early, please. Feel free to send them. We have the space to watch them, and we will give you a marketing boost to the people who are listening here.
Yeah, send us the screeners and we'll watch and judge.
That's right. You know what? That's definitely something we could try and get in touch with. I might send a few emails out as we get into the next year. Anyway, we are not going to talk about that too much because we are going to go into that early next year. But we have a few things to talk about today.
We do.
We have 4 trailers that have dropped this week. Briefly, we spoke last week on the Supergirl trailer, so let's get into that. Obviously, the Supergirl trailer, the real trailer dropped within, probably prior to this episode or the last episode.
So, yeah. It was like 12 hours after we recorded.
Yeah,
of course,
like that. Of course. So that dropped. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, it is Guardians of the Galaxy reskinned. I was pretty disappointed in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because I watched it and I was like, I've seen this trailer before. It's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Right down to some of the exact shots.
It is really hard because people are going, oh, well, James Gunn didn't write this one. He didn't direct this one. But it's very clear that his fingerprints are on it. Which is fine. Like I don't actually have an issue with that involvement.
Yeah.
I was hoping that, Craig Gillespie would maybe take a bit more and not necessarily just go, let's appease what Gunn has done.
Yeah, and we are talking about the trailer.
Yeah.
We've seen trailers before that have been cut very differently to the movie. A la Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, yeah, different movie. I just watched Materialists during this week, caught up on my 2025 list, and that is another perfect example of a trailer that is not like the film at all.
Yeah.
Liked the film, but I turned to my wife afterwards and was like, wasn't exactly the love triangle that they were really heavily marketing, were they? It had nothing to do with it. So yeah, you're right. These things happen. It's part of the trailer.
It could have been the editors from the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer are the ones that have edited this. Like, it would be interesting to find.
But I think there is like tonally as well. The editors can only do what they do with the footage, and the footage is very Guardians.
Yeah. Why did they give her the Star-Lord's Walkman though?
Who knows?
Like
it's like let's just go Star-Lord's Walkman, play some Blondie. Oh, that's a Star-Lord thing. Yeah, and it's like the same. Yeah, the element is, and even down to the big coat. You know, she's got the big
Yeah.
coat on. It's,
Yeah, exactly. And
It's very
the one that hit
strange.
me was the shot with all the people coming over with the guns and like
Yeah.
laying them into frame, and I was just like, I've seen this exact shot.
You know what it reminds me of though? It reminds me of Star Wars Force Awakens when
Oh,
you
yeah.
first see Han and he's between the two groups doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the way the guy's like, "Tell that to Kanja Club" or something like that. I I don't know why it's so funny to me, but every time I hear him say, "Tell that to Kanja Club," he's like, "Oh no, 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 I've done this." And you know,
Yeah.
Han's trying to like talk it, but it's all those guys like it's the same sort of shot. And
Yeah.
you know, I think there's this weird thing right now where any criticism of James Gunn, people just go, "Well, you Snyder fans are doing this."
Yeah.
Any anything like that, and that sucks. But I also think that then there's the opposite where it's like they feel like they've got to defend every choice, and then I've seen people commenting saying, "Well, James Gunn didn't invent space movies or space bar scenes, and that's what they look like." And it's like, no, it's very clear that this feels
I
like
mean,
exactly.
do you know what a space bar looks like? I
Yeah.
sure as hell don't. So I
yeah,
can make it
it's
look
on
however
my
the hell I
keyboard.
want.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things where it's really interesting how quick they are that they have to defend.
Yeah.
This must be a success, and I think it's a detriment to both. I even as a Snyder fan myself, it's a sad state to see immediate hate because I was actually really looking forward to Supergirl, and particularly just because I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Gunn's work, to see where the other, and I think I've spoken about it on the podcast here, to see where the other fingerprints and the other DNA and, you know, other directors coming in and sort of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And it was always sort of said they'll get to do their own thing, but like this immediately feels like that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Where it feels like it's like, yeah, you can do your own thing within my template, and I really hope that that's not how it goes. And maybe that's not how the film ends up. Millie Alcock looks great. I really do think
She looks great in
cool.
it, yeah.
We didn't really see much of Jason Momoa as Lobo, and from everything I'm hearing, he's not in the film a lot, which is a shame because it's one of those things where it's like it's a big role for him. He's excited about it, and it
It's
might end
also
up being
like
flat.
Yeah, and it's also a character that probably doesn't get their own film, only because it's not a huge box office draw. Like it's not, you know,
it's no Black Adam, that's for sure.
True.
No, but you're right. I think a film like this, I mean, it depends. You could probably do a low budget Lobo film.
If you did it low budget,
If you did it low budget, you could do it. Jason Momoa's name would be enough to probably carry it, but you'd probably have to do it $80 million.
Yeah,
and
if not less. Like,
yeah, $60 million even, and really rely on makeup. And you're doing a space thing. But in saying that, like you could probably do, you know, The Creator was an $80 million film.
Yeah.
You could have visual effects like that. The thing is, you really need to put some money into his bike. But I don't know. We'll see how that looks, whether that gets established later on. But it sort of feels like Jason Momoa has been given the role of Black Manta in the Aquaman films, ironically, where he might pop in for a couple of scenes, do a few things, and then leave.
And be like, hey, I'm going to come back someday.
And then, yeah. Supergirl 2, he's the main villain. Who knows? Maybe they're doing the same thing there. Hopefully not. Yeah, so that's Supergirl. I think, yeah, at the end of the day, we haven't seen enough. There were things that I was a little disappointed about that fell flat for me. Like, Krypton looks really nondescript, and it doesn't feel like it fits. All right, so we just had a little, a brief interruption. We will get back to it, but basically what I was saying is that futuristic, the gold, the metropolis, that's what could have been done. And then I think when you look at that and then Kandor or Krypton, if Krypton then looks like this aesthetic, then it doesn't matter so much. But when Krypton looks the same as Earth does, it's just like, oh, okay, it's a bit flat. But, you know, ultimately, I am excited for Supergirl. 2 Australians being at the helm makes me happy and makes me excited. So I'm just gonna
I'll definitely be seeing it. Like, I'm not gonna
100% gonna be seeing it. But I'm gonna reserve my. I'm gonna try and reserve those negative thoughts until a bit later because I actually do think it'll be a cool project. I'm really excited about it. But just the trailer, there was a couple of things that I was a bit let down by, and I think leaning too much into Guardians of the Galaxy, ain't it? On to the next trailer. This one I'm actually really excited about because we're talking about aesthetics. Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Oh,
this looks cool
man.
as. Yeah, it looks very. They've leaned in heavily to the
Yes.
silly side of Street Fighter, which I
Yep.
think is great. Like,
Super fun. I think I was saying like the cool thing about, it's all well and good to have comedy and write jokes in, but like when there's physical stuff or shots that make the comedy work even better, that's always a great time. And even things like the little kick
yeah, but
into another kick,
just down to the character designs as well. They
Yeah.
didn't try to
Cody Rhodes with the hair, like
like 50 Cent with his like hair as well.
Yep.
Like everyone looks ridiculous.
yes,
And rightfully so, because the characters are ridiculous.
Yeah,
like
it's
the
so over
Street
the
Fighter
top.
characters are silly and
Yep.
over the top. So
Are you
yeah,
familiar with Street Fighter?
not as like I have played it, obviously,
Yeah.
not a lot.
No, I'm like, okay, Chun-Li.
Yeah,
That's about-
That's
yeah.
about
There's like,
Mortal Kombat was my poison
Yeah,
out of those
yep.
like fighting games.
yeah, I was also more into Mortal Kombat, but even then, not super into
Yeah,
either of them.
I knew
I was a
few
Tekken
characters.
guy. I
Yeah,
played
okay.
Tekken heaps as a kid. And then, 2010 came around and we got our movie.
Did I?
Yeah.
There's a Tekken.
Straight to DVD.
I think I actually do remember.
All right, I'll
seeing
tell you
the
what. I
trailer for
I
it as
actually
indie.
love the Tekken movie. I have
Okay.
it on DVD. The soundtrack,
Bought the physical copy.
the opening of the film started with a song by Sick Puppies, Australian band,
Yep.
which is a banger. And yeah, it's just like, in terms of the characterization, they really, like, I reckon they've just visually, like, they've done the same thing with Street Fighter, where they've like
Yeah.
pulled in, they made it a bit serious, but like the characters looked like the characters. And it was
Yeah,
really
okay.
cool. And in fact, the actor who played Heihachi Mishima, died last week, and I was thinking about Tekken last week. He did a lot of things that were better than Tekken, but I know that
Yeah.
I know him for Tekken. But yeah, there you go. Anyway, Street Fighter looks fantastic, super
Very
fun, and yeah, it comes out.
I don't have like big stakes in this one as well. It's not like something
Nah.
where I'm like, I need this to work.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of the universe. I'm like, oh, if it fails, oh well.
Yeah,
So
but
I'm like fully just expectations.
I
are
feel
this
like
looks
that's,
fun.
and then we've got Mortal Kombat 2 coming out as well. So
Which
then it's
also,
like,
the first Mortal Kombat I really enjoyed. I think they did a good
Yeah.
job. It's probably a little bit more grounded, or feels a little bit more grounded than Street Fighter,
yeah,
but they still leaned in the right areas.
Yeah,
So
yeah, They went over the top.
Kano was like,
Kano was perfect.
like
They went over the top, but it was also, it sort of felt a little low budget.
yeah,
Not in a negative way, but it just feels like one of those movies where it's like, we're not sure how this is going to go. And then it went well. So then in the second one, it looks like they've put a bit more backing into it. And I'm excited
Yeah.
about that element to it.
and I think they found also their audience in terms of like, we can make this silly and
Yeah.
still fun
Yeah.
and still awesome
and then
brutal.
and then they pull in
Urban.
Carl Urban
Yeah.
and Johnny Cage at Happy Days.
Yeah.
Now
gonna be good fun.
Yeah, now it's really fun. And yeah, so that looks pretty fun. You got Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat coming out, and yeah, when Tekken, the new movie, gets made, I'll be there. I'll be there, happy.
We'll make the Tekken movie.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so that came out. Now we had 2 more trailers that came out this week. One that we should probably discuss is Disclosure Day, aka the untitled Steven Spielberg film, which is how the trailer was delivered to us. It was still delivered called Untitled Steven Spielberg
right,
film,
okay.
which made me laugh. And in all the back end of everything, it's Untitled Steven Spielberg. So the trailer was.
It's an
when
interesting title.
Disclosure Day was announced. I think it looks really cool.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I love Spielberg. There's a certain magic to his films.
Yeah.
I-
I've seen like a couple of people saying, and by a couple of people, I've seen a particular YouTuber who talks about movies saying, why are people hyping Spielberg as if he isn't coming off a run of misses? And then I'm like, Fabelmans was cool. Ready Player One was
Yeah, what
cool.
the hell?
Like, what are you talking about? But apparently they're misses. I
Okay.
disagree. Fabelman's got a Best Picture nomination, but hey.
Yeah. Ready Player One was awesome.
Yeah, I loved reading. I was actually
Um,
thinking about it the other day, going,
And
I
there's
should watch
there's
that
still
again.
things today where I like there's little Easter eggs that I keep
Oh, right.
finding out, and I'm like,
Have-
oh, that's amazing.
Have you watched it recently in the last couple of years?
Probably, oh yeah, maybe two years
Yeah,
ago,
okay.
or something like that. Yeah.
I should watch it again. Would it be one that I watched with the kids? I can't remember.
You could. You definitely
Yeah.
could. I can't remember if there's too much scary stuff in
Yeah,
there
no, neither.
for like the little
Maybe I'll
ones.
watch it by myself and then decide.
But
And then
there's
by the
lots of-
time I'm ready to watch it again, my son will be old enough anyway.
yeah, I mean, some of the like real world stuff is probably a bit gonna go
Heavy.
over their head.
Yeah, yeah.
But like anytime they're in, I can't remember what they call it now, the Oasis,
Yeah.
they're gonna be like,
This is
there's
awesome.
Hulk, there's Batman, there's this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't think Hulk's in it, but you know, like,
Yeah.
there's this person, there's this person, because it is. It's
It's
a
just cameo verse.
treasure
yeah.
trove of cameos and
It's pretty awesome.
yeah, Easter eggs. So
It's like the Lego movies.
yeah.
But
yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
Disclosure Day. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say too much on this one. I don't think it gives us a lot, but it's sort of the whole concept is if you found out or somebody proved to you that aliens exist, would you disclose? Would you tell people?
It looks very interesting.
Yes.
Like you said, it doesn't give you a lot, but from what I've seen, I'm like, oh, I really
It
want
visually
to know
looks
more.
great. And yeah, like even just that clicking sort of.
Yeah, so many trailers these days we get, and it's just like, oh yeah, cool, the movie's
You've
coming
just
out.
told me the story. I know the
Or
entire
either
story.
that, or it's just, hey, this movie's coming out.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I'm like, I need to know more.
A great recent example of this was the first trailer for Weapons.
Yep.
Which was a YouTube video for, like a live YouTube video with a countdown for ages. And then when it was revealed, it was just the footage of all the kids running, and everyone's like, what the hell is happening?
Yes.
And that is really, really cool.
Yeah, you need to create that intrigue of people.
Yeah.
That's what gets people in the cinema, because they're like,
Exactly.
well, I need to know what finds out.
I
don't
feel
wanna
like
be
this
told
gives, yeah,
on Facebook what the go is. I want to find out for myself.
that's right. And I feel like this has done that well. So I'm excited for Disclosure Day.
And Spielberg, like, has done some of the best UFO type movies that have been ever made.
Exactly.
So like,
Just
he's returning to what he knows best.
absolutely. All right, and finally, one of 4 trailers was released for Avengers, which launched alongside.
4.
Oh yeah, so
Didn't know this.
apparently,
Okay.
my understanding is that so obviously it came out with Avatar, and part of the Avatar release was the launch of the Doomsday trailer, which was essentially just a post-credits scene that revealed a character was returning. I don't want to say it on the podcast for those who haven't seen Avatar yet, or haven't seen the trailer yet because it's in cinemas only. But my understanding is that each week they're putting a new trailer in theaters.
Okay.
And then each week we're going to get a new. Yep. So
A new dead character brought back.
yes, exactly.
That's not too spoilery because.
Ben Affleck's Daredevil returns.
Yeah. Who can we pick from our past catalog
Yeah.
that people kind of like?
Fox. Yeah.
They like enough that we can bring back. Yeah.
Uh,
Jean Grey is back.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's what's apparently happening.
Yeah, okay.
I know that.
Are they going to release them online?
I would say like they. I mean they'll be online.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know whether
I
they
didn't
might.
tell you
There
that
might be a
someone
week
sat in the
behind.
cinema last night recording.
Of course
the
they
trailer.
did. Of course they did.
I looked over and I saw this guy like holding his phone. I was like,
So this is what we're talking about. The Avengers fans who come to Avatar to watch the trailer, and we were sort of laughing about the idea that somebody
I
would
don't
go.
even know if he was
I'm
there for
not-
the rest of the movie. So
I'm not sure for was he the guy to the left of you?
yeah.
Yeah, I saw him take a couple of photos, and I was like, guy, do not do that, please.
I
Did-
don't know if he stayed for the film.
Yeah, I,
remember
can't
looking
imagine
over at
this-
one
this
point
is
and
the
being
thing,
like,
imagine
"Let's-
spending all of this money to come and watch a 1 minute and 22-second trailer,
Yeah. And be that disappointed.
or you come at and then you got to sit through 3 hours and 20 minutes of Avatar. If
Yeah.
you, if
I
you're
meant
not into
disappointed by the
Avatar.
trailer too, not by
Yeah.
not by Avatar.
So yeah, Avengers, Doomsday, and apparently we're getting some more. I think they're really just trying to start to build the hype out. It's 12 months out now. Makes sense. Doomsday is the trailer that we are releasing. Sorry, Doomsday is the film that we are releasing in the spot that Avatar was released this year.
Okay.
So it's the December 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th.
Yeah.
Like in that era, I think it might be the December 12th or 13th
Okay.
next year. So it's sort of like we're a year out now. Let's
Start drip
start to
feeding some stuff
yeah.
out.
So that's where they're at. Hopefully they've finished the scripts by now. I don't know that that's the case.
Sure.
Doomsday.
What could possibly go wrong?
Doomsday is one of those ones I'm really sort of like. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of hype, but I also don't want to bet against Marvel for an Avengers film because we've never seen an Avengers film do poorly. But the last Avengers film was also Endgame, and we haven't really had one since.
And nothing's quite lived up to that.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll see where it goes because I think then Secret Wars is the next stage, and that there's more interest for me personally. There's more interest in Secret Wars because not that it's because it'll be a massive cameo fest, but because it contextually makes sense that it's a massive cameo fest, and
The
that
budgets
story
must be blowing out to like
yeah.
billions.
Of course.
Because like we got to pay Robert Downey Jr. like $500 million per picture.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got to pay.
Plus his green fee, like. Oh man, it's going to be interesting, but at this point, 12 months out, my hype for Doomsday is not significant. But
And this trailer didn't do anything to change that.
No, I do hope that we start to see some stuff and that changes for me because I actually feel like for Marvel this year, they weren't like massive, but two of the three films in particular were good.
Yep.
And one of them was okay. So, I thought Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four sort of started to build me up again. And we do have Spider-Man between now and then. Spider-Man's a good seller, and
Have we got that next year?
Yeah, that's mid next year.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So, trailer for that hopefully won't be far off either, but we don't know. So we saw Avatar yesterday. Avatar Fire and Ash, which is obviously the culmination of, it was initially a single film that was then split into two. I'm personally really glad that they split it into two, but it did really feel like a culmination of the two. But
it definitely felt like part of that Way of Water. Like there's a lot that sort of, I don't think I realized that as well. A lot of it, I thought it was a whole nother part, just a completely new story.
Yeah.
So I sort of went into it a little bit blind. I'd only seen one of the trailers. I really stayed off of it this year for some reason.
Were you lost though? Did you remember what was going on?
Maybe like the tiniest little bits here and there, but pretty much picked it up straight away.
Yeah.
And was back in. And yeah, it's great to be back in Pandora.
Absolutely. I found straight away, I had watched it again recently, but then I was sort of like jumped straight in. Still a little bit lost. I think it is hard to with the
There's
names.
a lot that goes in.
There's a lot that goes on, but it is
especially in
hard
3.5 hours or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, between both films. So each being sort of over 3 hours, there's lots going on.
Yeah.
Really simple stuff though, like recognizing characters, but then not being able to remember half the characters' names was one of the things where it was like, okay, well, we've got this character, and I'm like, yeah, I remember this character. He's the second eldest son.
Yes,
but
the sons tripped me out because I was like,
hold on a moment. Yeah. I mean, I do think they do a good job of establishing where everything is. I remember Sigourney Weaver's name is Kiri, or
yes,
Kiri, like they say it in a funny way, but it's basically Kiri, and I'm like, that's a normal human name. But the rest of them,
I'm say that one.
Yeah, the rest of them, it's hard to sort of get a grasp of who all of these characters are. I didn't realize until after that the mother of the water tribe, who's pregnant, is Kate Winslet. No idea.
It's because they all speak with accents too.
Yeah.
And they speak with like a sort of, I guess, trying to put on like some sort of native accent. And everyone does that. So you go, oh, that's not, who is that? Like,
I would have liked to read or hear about whether they worked with speech coaches and whether they worked with people who are, a part of that to try and build that language, often with these sorts of films, or maybe not this language, but this cultural accent that differentiates from what they did with the forest people and like Natiri's people who from the original one.
Yes, yeah.
Because it did feel like even the Ash people felt different as well.
Which, speaking of the Ash people, we got introduced to another
Yeah.
clan, are they called in the
Yep.
movie? They're different clans. Very interesting. I really enjoyed sort of, I wish we got more of them in this one.
Yeah,
And I'm
okay.
hoping that potentially number
3
4.
hours and 20 minutes wasn't long enough for you?
Well, you don't see much of their world, I guess.
No, you're right. They establish why they're the way that they are. They give you a little context to that. It is a pretty cool scene that we see, sort of the volcano and
Yeah.
where they live and what
there's
the
like a
goes there.
trip scene there that's real.
Yep.
I didn't see it in 3D. You saw it in 3D.
I did.
Was that wild?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was what
That
that scene
that is
even
in the
two-
trailer. Yep. In 3D was pretty
even
wild.
in 2D it looks 3D, and I was like, this is
Wow.
wild. Like
Yeah.
what? Yeah. So I can imagine that in 3D would have been pretty nuts.
And we did have John Garvin in last night, which was really cool, and we'll post the footage of what we did with that.
Might have been interlaced some here.
Yeah, I mean, we can put in some of our footage, and we did interview, or I did interview him briefly. Now, John was the dive supervisor. He helped coach all of the actors on the breathing underwater techniques, and he was saying, like, within the first day, Sigourney Weaver was 70, and she said she couldn't breathe for more than 30 seconds underwater, and he had her at like 2 minutes by
Yeah.
the first training day, which is
Crazy.
crazy. And then, you know, by the end of it, she did 6.5 minutes, and Kate Winslet did 7 minutes and 15, holding their breath underwater so that they could film all of these scenes
Yeah.
and get what they needed to do, which is crazy.
Mm.
But yeah, really, really cool interviewing him, chatting to him. He bought in the mask that Spider wears.
Which is really, after seeing it obviously in our hands and everything.
Yep.
Then later on watching the movie, I'm like, there it is, there it is, there it is.
It's occurring to me now that he's not supposed to have it, and
Oh,
we're
we
not
probably
supposed to
shouldn't,
put it on the
yeah.
internet. But
He had it to. He was doing maintenance on it.
he was doing maintenance on it. So yeah, very cool that happened. And yeah, just some of the stuff behind the scenes. I know we'll discuss briefly the Fire and Ash or Fire and Water documentary that covered the 2 films. They filmed over the 2 films, and how they came up with all of this stuff was discussed, and he's part of that. So yeah, really, really cool.
I need to get onto that documentary.
You do.
It's only the first 2 parts are out currently, or is it only 2 parts?
I think it's only 2 parts.
Okay.
I've seen part 1, and yeah, it's mind blowing. I was just geeking out watching it. All of the stuff that they do with that was really, really cool. So
for me, the Avatar films, they're not my favorite films.
story-wise,
Story-wise, yeah. Like, by no means do I dislike them. I would say I like the making of the Avatar movies
100%.
more than I like the
100%.
Avatar movies. They're a great world to jump back into, and I really enjoy it. But learning the stuff that they put into them and what they're doing on set is just crazy.
I think everything about them, like, these are the sorts of films that I immediately go, cool, this is a 5-star film for me. And that doesn't, again, you know, my whole rating system is, it's not necessarily a perfect film. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. But if it's a film that I'm like, yeah, I'm 100% on board with, like, you know, I have my perfect 5-star films are like all 3 of the Matrix movies, because I've got that nostalgia. I love everything about every one of them, like that sort of thing. And Avatar falls in that category for me. And it's probably one of those ones that has fallen later, because in 2009, I didn't see it on the big screen, missed the whole thing, and then I caught it on DVD, and it was not it.
Okay.
So
I remember seeing it in theaters when it first came out.
Yeah.
That was like the first big 3D.
Yeah. And I missed the boat completely.
We changed from the good old red and yellows, red and blues. What am I
Red
talking
and blues, yeah.
about? To the clear 3D glasses. I remember that time, and it was
significant.
I'm pretty sure I stole some of the glasses.
I remember one of my friends like saying to me, my mate was like, "How have you not seen Avatar?" And I was like, I just didn't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, "You got it. It's crazy." And then I watched it at home, and I watched a DVD of it, and it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And I didn't touch it again. And then before The Way of Water came out, we showed it on the big screen here, and I was like, I'm gonna go watch it in 3D and watch it properly. And doing it that way, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Saw The Way of Water, and now all 3 of these films for me are just like, yep, cool. Yeah. I personally found Fire and Ash to be the best of 3.
That's your favorite one of the 3?
I just thought the story. Maybe it's because it does tie a lot of these elements of The Way of Water together. Sort of covers a lot of loose ends and that sort of thing. But yeah, I definitely found that was the case.
Way of Water is the one for me.
Oh, okay.
The first Avatar, while great, groundbreaking, everything,
Mhm.
is essentially Pocahontas,
Pocahontas, yes.
Ferngully, all of those Dancing with Wolves. It's that very
Yeah.
simple story, very, but still great.
Yep.
By all means. But Way of Water was the one where I think there was a lot riding on it too.
Mhm.
After Avatar coming out, being that groundbreaking experience and everything, and then people sort of going, the story's not all there. Like, it's nothing great in the
The
story.
Way of Water essentially takes the good parts of the first Avatar and then adds a new story to it, adds new
Yes.
elements to it, and makes it original.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where I felt like they really, really shine. This one to me felt a little bit. There's definitely not the whole thing, but there was definitely parts of it where I was like, it feels like we're rehashing stuff that happened in
The
Way of
previous
Water.
one.
Like
Yeah,
if someone said like, oh, what's that Avatar movie where they going after the whales and there's a big fight on the boat at the end, and I'd be like,
So does this change your mind though, knowing that it was one story?
yes, a little bit, yeah.
So like knowing that originally it was one script, he split it into, and that's why we're getting 4 sequels, is because it's like, okay, I've taken 2 scripts for 2 and 3, and then made them 2 and 3 and 3 and 4.
It makes a lot more
4 and
sense.
5. So this sort of feels like it's like this is one movie. It's not, but it is like one story tied together, and then we're gonna have potentially 4 and 5. I know they've technically already greenlit it, but I think my understanding is this has got to make $2 billion.
Yeah,
again.
it's like it's greenlit to the point where like we want you to make it, but we also need to see the financial return.
Yes,
and it needs to be.
But
a big
again,
financial return.
we've got. I think we're at currently sitting on, from the Avatar franchise, $5.3 billion from the 2 films.
Nuts.
So clearing an average of $2 billion per film is pretty on the cards.
Yeah.
Potentially bringing it up, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see where it lands for this one, because does he get in? Because I think he's got what, 3 of the top 5 or 4 of the top 5, maybe?
He's got 3 of the top 5
3 of the top
currently.
5, yeah.
Titanic, Avatar, and Way of Water are all in, with Avengers Endgame being the only one that's sort of nestled in between. Avengers Endgame briefly took the top place, but it briefly took the top place before Avatar was re-released before the first one, before the second one came out, which then nudged it back over the line. And by nudged, I mean significantly took. I think Avengers Endgame is 2.7, so it was like, oh, here's another $100 million.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty huge.
That's crazy.
It was back in cinemas
for
for
a
2 weeks or
re-release.
something. Yeah, for 2 weeks.
Nuts.
Something stupid. Yeah, but it put it back over Avengers Endgame. So
yeah. So you saw this one in high frame rate 3D. I saw this in 2D. Didn't realize it was going to be high frame rate as well. For me, the high frame rate is not it.
You are a high frame rate hater.
I am.
Play a video game for once.
Well, that's what I dislike about it.
I agree in the sense that I feel like it does look like a video game, but I don't view that as a bad thing. And I think it's just
that takes away from the realism for me. That makes it feel less real to me, because it feels like almost like this ultra realistic.
I'm curious to know though whether the 3D adds to it, because, and we've had this discussion, and I don't understand why you are not fussed on the 3D for, like, if you're going to watch 3D for any film, James Cameron's Avatar is the one, and you were like, no, I'm happy to watch it in 2D, and I'm like, why though? When 3D is readily available and right there, I don't understand. So
it's more I think I don't enjoy the experience as much.
Right.
Being sat there with the glasses on and all that. I generally wear glasses as it is.
Yep.
So then there's this whole conflicting thing of like,
do you take off the glasses to watch the film?
Generally, I go for the slightly blurrier version of watching it through the 3D.
So basically, you put the 3D glasses on, and you're watching it the same way it would be if you took the 3D glasses off.
Almost.
Yeah, and it's blurry anyway.
There's just a bit more depth to it.
I have seen this because, my wife's the same. She wears glasses when watching films, and whenever we have to watch 3D, it's like, do I put the glasses on and then put the 3D glasses on? I can understand that conflicting. Now, as
Yeah.
somebody with perfect vision, confirmed by my optometrist appointment earlier in the year.
Ooh, look at
Yeah,
me.
look at me. It's not an issue. You know, wearing glasses is a novelty. I feel like Clark Kent wearing my 3D glasses. Throw them on, happy days. I'm a new
Yeah.
person. But I found personally the 3D with the high frame rate, it's like they work hand in hand.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure James Cameron has said that it's more for the 3D
yeah,
side of things, because 3D, and then when you get like parallax and stuff with 3D, it can get a bit jarring. So
yeah,
that having those extra frames, because I think he's doing 48 frames,
yeah.
so it's double the amount of frames
Yeah.
per second that you're
And
getting. Out of
it
that.
does take your brain a little bit to jump in to get that, to understand, because initially you watch that opening scene and it's in high frame rate and it's like, oh, this is hard to watch. And then after a couple of minutes, and like I was discussing this with the people I watched it with, and they were like saying the same thing. It was like I didn't like it for the first 2 minutes, and then my brain sort of got used to it, caught up, and suddenly I was like, this rules. And yeah, maybe it's just a dislike. Maybe it's the fact that without the 3D, you're missing that sort of element.
Potentially, and
so-
like cinema's like what 100 years old, a little over 100 years, I think.
Yeah,
For that time, we have always known
24
motion
frames.
pictures, is 24
Yeah.
frames. So it is very different
It's-
and new.
it's
And
different,
most of
yeah.
the time, what we've
You're
seen,
basically, what you're saying to me is that you're being like an old man yells at clouds. It's like,
Yes.
high frame rate sucks.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm taking on the
Yeah.
Tarantino persona in this one.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a lot of the time, so more of that like doubled frame rate or sped up frame rate. No, it's not sped up, but like the doubled frame rate is what you see on the things like Animal Planet, BBC stuff, which James Cameron has had a big hand in. So
Yeah.
like, it makes sense, and the realism feel is there, but because we're in this like fantastical, otherworldly
Yeah,
place, I'm like, well, I know it's not real, and you're trying to make me feel like it's more real, and it's taking me out of it more than if it was.
yeah.
For the 2D version, for the 3D version, I can't.
One
speak
thing
to.
I really like is, and I think we've briefly spoken on this, but James Cameron was asked in an interview about it, and he's just like, I love it.
Which, fair enough.
And that's it.
It's his movie.
Yeah. Let's talk going into the future of Avatar. He knows he's got some stories that he wants to tell within this world. Do you want to see more Avatar, or are you sold on what we've got so far? Is there anything that sort of...
Before knowing that it was Way of Water, like the
Yeah.
story of Way of Water was split into two, I would have been verging on saying, I'm good.
Yeah.
Knowing now that that is a continuation of that story, and that it's...
And then he was finishing that
Yeah,
plot, and that
I'm
was
more
essentially
inclined
his
to say
sequel.
yes. I'd like to see different clans and stuff, because the new clan in this was cool. I wanted to see more of that, so I'd love to see more of those different clans.
I do wonder how they keep adding humans into it, and I think that there's this is cool because
how many times
you know,
can the
Fire
humans
and
come
Ash
back and try to do the same thing again?
Yeah, Fire and Ash sort of establishes we've got the humans still, they're building on, they're trying to expand outwards. Then you've got the fight between, so it's like a triangle rather than, you know, aliens versus the Na'vi versus the humans like in the first one. It sort of breaks this up where you've got New Clan versus, because even Way of Water was New Clan versus humans. And now it's the three. New Clan versus, or like Water Clan versus Ash Clan versus humans. Sort of adds to it, but it still has that element of it's very similar. But again, because it's sort of the same story and part of the same story, I'm like, okay, well, I'm okay with it being still that same thing, because it's just like that story wasn't really finalized in Way of Water. But I do question how if we were to go forward, how that looks. Do we have the humans there? Do we need the humans there at all?
I mean, 3 stories deep, and we've still essentially got the same sort of story from the first one of the humans wanting to destroy the land.
Yeah, which I think is always going to be, it needs to be overarching, but it needs to expand and get either bigger. Or it needs
take
to
a back
stop.
seat while something bigger bigger threat is taking place. I think James Cameron has famously said he's got stories for these written up to like
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Yeah, right.
From memory, I'm sure he said something like that. Like
Yeah, okay.
he not a script written, but more.
He knows
I
what's
have
coming.
the idea of like what's going to happen if I go through to that.
Yeah.
Whether or not they want to make 9 of these at however many $1
Yeah.
billion it costs them
At
is
James Cameron being 70 years old?
exactly.
Yeah, probably not.
But I could definitely see us getting a number 4 and hopefully expanding.
Well, I think if they do 4, they'll do 4 and 5 back to back. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be the same as these two, where it was an 18-month shoot
yes, yeah,
that covered the 2 movies. I think if we were to get 4 and 5, it's going to be the same. 18-month, 2-year planned shoot that covers film 4 and 5, and then they do all of that stuff. That would be my guess.
yeah.
Beyond that, I don't see us getting much more. That comes down to a number of factors. I think the current plan for 2 and 3 is 2029 and 2031, which is still 4 and 6 years away. James Cameron will be doing the red carpet for that at 76, 77, and then looking at doing more that's going to take 5, 6 years. I don't see that happening. But I really, really hope that this delivers a strong box office return and that they greenlight more, because I would like to see more of this world. One element that I was sort of really thinking I'd love to see going forward is I'd love to see the Loak character, the son, take the lead. I'd like Jake Sully to sort of be, and Neytiri to be maybe phased out or made to village elder sort of, and have the son take the role of the leader with the wife, you know, the girl from the water tribe.
Yes.
Maybe them taking that role, and, you know, us seeing another 15 years in the future now where it's like, okay, well, he's the lead, and Jake Sully's and Neytiri is there, but they're not, you know, now we've got a Child of Two Worlds story where it's like he's, you know, always, Jake Sully's sort of been like that, but he's been very human. I'm a Marine. This is the case. Now you want to see a story where it's the two of them, or the I've been raised half and half, and how that plays into what things look like.
Yeah. I mean, you could go one way and say you could have one story that branches off where the son gets somehow extracted into a human form and go back the other way almost. Which
Reverse
could be,
Avatar.
Yeah. It could
wow.
Be
Ravatar.
Wild idea. James Cameron, call me.
What's Avatar backwards?
Ooh.
Ratava.
I was like, this is getting a bit dicey to say there. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. That would be cool. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see how that plays on later. Whether that's done. But that's like, when I look at it, I want to see, okay, Avatar 1 happened, then we're set 15 years in the future. Now set us 15 more years in the future. And every couple of films tell a story in that era. I'd like to see that play out. But I also think if you do that, then you can bring the humans back on a grander scale. And now it's like, okay, how do they, and, you know, there's plot elements of this one that I don't want to go into too much detail on, that could then play into okay, now we're 15 years down the line and we've figured out certain things that allow us to then try and bring all of Earth to Pandora, and how that works.
Yes.
Would be really, you know, really cool. It's a grander scale at that sense than just a single base.
You know, I would like to see the story develop more. I don't think, like, it doesn't feel like it's completely finished.
No.
There's more story there to tell, and I think you're right. Jumping ahead would be a really good way to distance ourselves from that and tell a new story and tell something fresh. So it'd be interesting to see where. And that's,
I think, doing that in Way of Water and Fire and Ash is what made them so cool. It was like jumping ahead and being able to expand on that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, doing something beyond that. I mean, I'm not against any stories taking place directly after. I think there's a bunch of stuff I'd still like to see in this range. There's a couple of moments in particular I'd like to see happen, but at the end of the day, I'm happy to jump ahead and put the onus of the franchise on the son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I'm keen for that. I think some of those characters too. I'm sort of not that I dislike Jake Sully's character, but I feel like I've had enough of Jake Sully, and
Yeah.
I'm ready to move on to some
Yep.
new characters and be with some other characters.
Yeah.
Like especially the son and even like Neytiri, like their characters feel. And this is part of the point because Jake Sully is a human that's been put into the Avatar and things like that. But their characters disappear so much more for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see Zoe Saldana in that role at all.
Yeah.
I forget it's Zoe Saldana. I'm like, that's a native.
Well, it's like what we said about Kate Winslet. It's the same thing. But I do think that these films do make an effort to put more emphasis on the son.
Yeah.
And sort of almost like passing the torch anyway. Like Jake Sully in Fire and Ash is far less
than he was in Way of
a
Water.
lead than he was even in Way of Water.
Yeah.
There is so much more expanding, and they give you that more of that element. So, very cool.
No, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it like 4 stars.
Right,
it was pretty up there for me.
Yep. It's a 5-star film for me. It'll be up there. I would have to decide where it sits amongst my other big films for the year. But very, very cool. That is Avatar: Fire and Ash, and we will discuss, I guess, our letterbox and where everything lands in the new year in January, once we've had a chance to go through the rest of the films that we haven't seen. I know there's at least 7 films that I'm going to try and catch in the next, it's now December
the next
18th.
24 hours.
I don't know that I'm going to get to everything, but I'm doing my best. This week I've watched The Roses. I'm going to watch Now You See Me, Now You Don't. I'm going to watch, I watched Materialists, and I
want to see Begonia.
Yep.
Would love to see Mighty Supreme, but that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, Twinless is one that I am going to watch. So just a few things. I'm trying to catch sentimental value in Train Dreams as well, which they think.
Train Dreams got a lot of buzz. Just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, so
did it even get a theatrical release?
Did not. So
but it must have got a theatrical release.
Oh, actually, no. I think it did get a theatrical release, but it was a really, really limited one, like beyond.
Because I've heard Oscar conversations.
So we'll chat those in the new year. But until then, we're going to do an episode next week discussing the films that we're excited about coming up in 2026. So and we'll see you next time. And until then, remember, particularly when you come to watch Avatar in 3D and high frame rate, there are no bad seats. We'll see you next time.